I was in the middle of my route, my tire fell off my van, and so I posted on the community page like, "Hey, I'm looking for a big tour van or a short bus or a mini bus." He gets so happy. He does these like he'll jump in the air and like basically spin in a circle. It's just so bouncy. He goes like airborne over the dog bus. Ours are actually tested 3 times. They've got what they say in them, and I've actually had pretty good feedback from other people. I'm out there walking, but I'm also carrying 18 dogs like poops with me too. Now I get to spend like all day outside with dogs. Like for me, there's not really anything really better than that.
Welcome back to Tales of Fluff. I'm AJ.
And I'm Emily. We hope you are all doing well. It's been a couple weeks since we have posted, and that's because we have been taking a small break due to getting a stomach flu. It's been pretty bad over here.
It was horrible. We were out for a while, and to be honest, I'm still just eating applesauce, crackers, and a lot of Pedialyte. But we're so glad to be back and to continue sharing these amazing episodes that we have.
Absolutely, and we missed sharing episodes with you guys. So today's episode takes us all the way to Alaska, where we're joined by Morgan from Mo Mountain Mutts. Morgan has built something really special. From running a dog bus full of dogs, heading out on adventures, to training dogs, and even creating dog supplements made with clean ingredients.
She really does a lot, and throughout this episode, we talk about all of that, how it all began, and some of the funny moments that come along with working with dogs.
This was such a unique conversation, and one that really shows how passion, consistency, and creativity can grow into something much bigger. With that being said, grab your pet, get comfortable, and let's get started. We started by asking Morgan how Mo Mountain Mud started and what inspired it.
I feel like that's always a hard question for me to answer just because of the evolution of it. It was never like, I'm inspired to start this business. It was just kind of like a slow evolution throughout like a decade. And so my business model has just changed continuously. That's kind of the thing about living in a small town and just using your skills to acclimate to whatever the town needs at the time. And so how it started out was pet sitting. Even before I lived in Alaska, I was pet sitting for my family. I grew up in Michigan and I moved here with my husband. And I used to just do some dog sitting because I was never in a place to have a dog. And I love dogs. I grew up with dogs. My parents were breeders. So just always been around packs of dogs, family dogs. And so when I moved up here when I was in college, I just took any opportunity to hang out with other people's dogs. Just like, oh, yeah, I'll stay at your house, eat your food, watch your dog. That sounds good to me. And so in college, I did a lot of pet sitting. And then when I moved here, that was kind of like something that really hit me was watching this one dog and taking it for hikes and just being like, wow, hiking is just like 10 times better with a dog. Like this is just 10 times more fun. I'm not as scared of bears out here. You know, a dog's going to give you a nice alert. So I was just like more relaxed and more comfortable having a dog with me. And so when my husband wanted to stay the winter here, I was like, absolutely not. I thought we were coming up here to work one summer and then leave. And then there was a job he really wanted to do at the school. It's like what he went to college for. Our timing was when we moved up here, we were just both finishing our degrees. So we were like, you know, fresh out of college, looking for something to line up in our college career. And I couldn't say no if he found a job he wanted. So I was like, all right, I'll stay here. But I want a puppy. That's my stipulation for staying in Alaska in the cold, dark, long winter. So we got Carl. And Carl is 10 years old now. So that was kind of you could say the very beginning of Mo Mountain Mutts there, of me just needing a puppy. And then my friend and I, this is kind of like the way it works in this town a lot is if you got a friend who has a dog, you might grab your friend's dog and take them for a hike together if the other person is working. And so there's a lot of people in this town that do that. A lot of us don't work as much in the winter. And then some people work really long, crazy hours in the summertime due to the seasonal work. There's a lot of cruise ships that come up here. There's like 1 million people that flood our streets in one day. So it can be pretty busy. So it just kind of evolved into like, I grab your dog, you grab my dog. We both rescued another dog. I started grabbing their dogs and doing training because their rescue and my rescue were kind of mental messes. They were both really spicy. And I ended up just kind of gaining a reputation in town for training these spicy dogs out in public. Filtered over into my husband's job at the school. He's like, hey, there's this teacher. She heard you're good with dogs. Would you want to set up a training? So I started training teachers' dogs, and I just kept expanding like, my friends that I worked with when we would grab each other's dogs, and another friend got a puppy. So I would just grab their dog. And it turned into like, I will just set a time and a space to make sure all of our dogs get out, and they would like buy me lunch. It was a very unofficial just trade that was going on for a long time. And when I started scheduling this time and training these puppies, I kind of made more of a thing to just make sure I had the time to do it. And then I came up with a rate, and then it just kind of grew from there. I was using my bike. I'd ride around on my bike and pick up dogs, take them for a bike and hike. And then I got a puppy, and you can't run puppies like that. So I'm like, all right, I'll use my minivan. And then it grows, and I've got 2 packs I'm running along my other jobs, and it just kind of keeps growing. I get another dog that I realize doesn't want to sit next to this dog because that dog's like annoying. It's licking them in the face, and they don't mind on the walk, but they just don't want to sit in the car together. So I upgrade my car. I get a big van, put a big cage in it, and I've got like the licky puppy section in the very back. The middle is caged off by itself for like the socially selective dogs, and then the little tiny dogs would sit like shotgun with me. And I did that for a long time. My husband started working with me during COVID. The athletic director position was no longer available at the school. And so he started coming along with me, turned into like a two business person. We would use the two vans, pick up, meet, go together. And then that van gave out, the other van gave out, and I ended up scoring the bus. I just like cool small town community. I was in the middle of my route and my tire fell off my van. And so I posted on the community page, like, hey, I'm looking for a big tour van or a short bus or a mini bus. And because it's a tourist town, there is like a lot of buses in town. And during COVID, some of these buses were sitting. So I ended up scoring a really nice bus for really cheap. And that became a main vehicle for work. And that is when my media really started blowing up because I had been making media this whole time. So my clients could see what we were up to, who their dogs were walking with, where we went. You could follow my story on Instagram and see the behavioral things that the dogs are doing in the group play and how I interrupt and why do I interrupt it and what do you do when the dog is overstimulated? And I would just kind of have a lot of information in my stories. And I gained like this really niche following, I guess. And it kind of exploded on TikTok to something else when I started doing these like silly videos. It was really my husband coming with me, and him holding the phone made me talk to like my person, not just like my phone. And so it became a bit more personal. Like the videos came out different. And my husband and I are just like super silly together. So it became more of like an entertaining thing versus me just like sharing my business for my clients. I guess we started just making more for like media. I would kind of just pretend I was a flight attendant and pass out snacks and give like an emergency exit spiel. It was kind of our like takeoff for viral stuff and doing doggy ASMR treats up really close. And some people are interested in Alaska. So there's like a couple different followings. It's like people who want to learn things, people who are curious about Alaska, and people who just want to watch dogs eat treats on a bus.
I know a lot of people that would have given up when both, not just one, but two vans went out. That's awesome, Morgan.
Well, I was working 2 other jobs. When I first came up here, I was working in a restaurant, and so that's, like, my coworkers that was their dogs that we were walking, and then that is only seasonal, so in the winter, I did not have that job. I used to substitute at the school until I found the chick that ran the salon. I ended up becoming really good friends with her. We'd walk our dogs together, like, every morning and go to yoga for years. It was really fun. Until COVID, our schedules didn't line up anymore. So just a cool town, lots of dogs here, lots of really cool dog-friendly places, but it turned into kind of like, because it was just like I'm just grabbing my dogs, my friend's dog, so it was very informal, and at some point, it, like, became a thing. And so my town had reached out to me. They're like, hey, you don't really fall into this category, but like you kind of do. There's not really anything written about you, but you are kind of commercial, but you're not like running tours because you can't take tourists on the trails here. Like that's not allowed. You can't run commercial tours on these like city trails. And so some people were like, are you commercial or like, are you not? Or like, what is it? And so I just talked to the city. We worked out a spot. They were like, you can build a trail here or you could build a trail over here. And so I found a cool spot and I made my own trail, and that's where I go now. I don't hike on the like public city trails and stuff anymore like I used to. So it's definitely changed. I used to take smaller groups and do hiking and do like more structured stuff. But now it's more of like this big social outing and more of like group play, not letting dogs get overstimulated, ride calm on the bus. There's a lot of obedience that always goes with my program.
How cool is it that Morgan grew up with dogs and that carried over into her adult life? And even when things could have went a different direction, Morgan was still always around dogs.
Yeah, like it was meant to be. And even when her van broke down, she didn't let that stop her. She found another way and continued to grow.
And like I said in the audio that we left in, I think many would have given up after that van broke down. But the way it all worked out just shows if you have passion and motivation to make something work, it will in the end.
For sure. And I also like how even her social media changed over time and became more personal. And two, the fact that she does it with her husband, which I think is really special and kind of relatable. But no, it's really special when you can share the growth and do it together with the person you care about the most. Now, since Morgan works with dogs, we wanted to know what she loves most about it.
I think in the beginning, I just really liked working with all these different dogs and just realizing like how different they are. And like, there's so many things that are the same, like teaching sit and teaching down and teaching leash work, but also like there's so many variables with their personalities or like what their owner has done or hasn't done. So that's just like kind of cool to see. I'm always just like comparing. Like I get excited every time I meet a new dog and I like take him out, like think about it for a while.
Yeah, that's
That's just
awesome.
exciting. I don't know. It's just fun to like meet the dog, bond with the dog, and like that part is really cool because they're all different. You bond with some of them way more than others sometimes because some of the dogs they're here for the dogs. Like Tater, I feel like he give two shit about me. He runs right past me right on the bus, says hi to his friends. You really have to like get his attention. Where he's like, "Oh yeah, 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 you're here."
He's like,
You
step
know,
aside, human. I'm here for my buddy.
exactly. Like I like Tater likes me, but he's there for the dogs. He runs around barking like he's all about the dogs. And some of the dogs, like they have to greet you before they greet the dogs. Like they also like you. There's just different relationships with them. It's cool.
It's amazing that even though it's been years, how she still enjoys seeing all the dogs, different personalities, and how they can be different, but also the same sometimes.
And even owning our dogs and being around our family's dogs, it is always fascinating to see how different each dog's personality can be. And I can only imagine what that is like being around as many dogs as Morgan has been.
Exactly. And how Tater is just there for the other dogs is so funny. It's like when you go to a social event and you're only there to see one friend. That's Tater with his dog friends. It's just hilarious to hear how much personality dogs can have. And since we heard about Tater and how excited he is to be there with his dog friends, we had to know what has been the best reaction from a dog that Morgan has seen when her bus pulls up.
One of my favorites is when like they're wagging their tail so hard as they're walking down the aisle that it's just like whapping down the aisle, just like smack, 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 smack. That cracks me up. Or like they helicopter tail. And so you might imagine them like running on the bus all fast and stuff, but I am like, that is how you have dog fights. Too much arousal, getting in a small space with a lot of dogs that are tethered to their seats. So unless the dog is going to run straight to their seat and get on, they're going to get like leashed walk on, I guess. So I don't know. I try to control the excitement pre-walk energy so that there's like a right energy you need to have like 18 dogs together. You can't have too much energy. That's when they like don't pay attention. And if they're not paying attention, they won't take direction. And that's when things can get kind of weird.
You know, if a dog's tail is doing the helicopter, that means that they love what they're doing. But it's also nice that Morgan makes sure it's a controlled environment and acknowledges the need for structure when dogs are entering the bus so that everyone remains safe. And for me, seeing this would give me a peace of mind knowing that my dog is in good hands.
Absolutely. However, we know that not all dogs have outgoing, tail wagging personalities. So we asked Morgan if there was ever a dog who was unsure about the bus, but then ended up loving it.
Probably Dasher. I remember him being like real scared to like walk up the bus steps. I remember like I had to use a lot of like beef liver and a lot of like coaxing, being like, "Come on, like you can touch the the step with your paw." And I don't think he was hesitant about like people or dogs. It was just like leaving his house without his people and like going with new people and meeting new dogs. He was pretty like, "I'm not so sure about it." That dog will like blow your shoulder out now to like get on that bus. Like he has to be told like easy. You got to remind him, and he gets so happy. He does these like he'll jump in the air and like basically spin in a circle. It's just so bouncy. He goes like airborne over the dog bus.
It's always the shy ones at first, right?
Yes, yeah. Like Lady and Fiona, they were like terrified, absolutely terrified. I had to do a lot of bonding walks with them to get them comfortable with me, and then like bond them with my dog. So they had like the buddy system, to be comfortable to go on. The buddy system is like bonding a dog with another dog. So when they go with the pack, you kind of keep them with their buddy. So they're kind of like, I know you, you're familiar, I like you. Okay, I'll follow you around. That can help them warm up when they know another dog at school.
No matter who we talk to or what subject we are discussing, the success stories are always one of my favorites. And Dasher's is just amazing the way he wouldn't even climb the stairs. And now he gets told easy and jumps in circles over the bus. Really shows again that Morgan takes the time to make sure each dog is comfortable and has the best experience with her.
Yeah, that buddy system is so smart because we have even seen some of our friends' dogs who maybe were a little anxious or worried, and then our friend gets a second dog, and now that dog is like a whole different dog and really came out of their shell when they're with their buddy.
And I think we can all kind of relate to that when going on adventures or to school or work or wherever. It's always better with a friend, right? Now, Morgan has shared a couple of experiences of how the dogs have been while on the bus. So we wanted to know what she thinks the dog bus truly means to the dogs.
See, it's where their personality comes in, You got like Tater, who is like, I'm here to chase Jake around. That's like what he's there for. And then some of them are like, I'm here to sniff and nobody's going to bother me. I'm just going to walk around and sniff everything at my own pace. That's like the old and littles crew. It's like a sniffafari. And then some of them are there to learn obedience and to like calm down. And some of them are there to learn confidence and like learn to cross a bridge. Sometimes they're like really scared to do stuff, but everybody is there to get mental and physical enrichment because I definitely have a lot of organization. There's a lot of training. There's a lot of like little micro things that go on that make up the whole thing to make it nice and smooth.
I think it's awesome how much this bus can completely change a dog's life, like Morgan mentioned. The dogs can be there for all different reasons, but each one is going to get exactly what they need.
It really shows the individual focus that Morgan gives to each one.
Exactly. It's not like she just has a group of dogs and takes them out. No, she makes sure each of their needs are met.
For sure. And I feel when you see this on social media, like the dog buses, you don't get that point of view all the time because it just looks like they are going out for a ride or a walk. But the way Morgan explained it here really shows the impact it can have on a dog and overall better a dog's life. At this point, we know the dogs love the bus, but we wanted to know, out of everything Morgan has built, what is the best part of the dog bus for her personally?
That I get paid to go outside and work outside. I think that for me personally is like the biggest, coolest thing ever. I used to spend my years bartending, just like staring out this window, being like, I just want to be outside. Or when I was serving or food running, I would like be like, I'll take the trash out so I could just stand outside. Just like any moment to get outside. And I worked in a salon for forever. And in between my clients, I'd just step outside, just get a couple seconds, 30 seconds here and there, in between clients. So I was always like rushing and trying to squeeze outside. And now I get to spend like all day outside with dogs. Like for me, that's not really anything really better than that.
Being outside with dogs, that really does sound amazing. And definitely since she's in Alaska. Now, I'm not saying every day has good weather, but on the good days, those views must be beautiful. And then adding dogs to it, I mean, that just sounds incredible.
Seriously, I could see why she enjoys that part of what she does. Now, our next question takes us in a little different direction. We wanted to know if she has experienced any funny moments while on the dog bus.
There's lots of like little quirks, I guess. Splitting it into like media funny stuff happens, and then there's like real work stuff that happens, I guess. Like some of the media stuff is pretty silly, like some of the engagement you get with people. I don't know, dogs are just goobers. I can't think of like a one particularly like super funny thing. Other I guess like a recent one was like Amaru, he's the big Malamute. There was a bunch of ice on this rock and he was just like licking the rock, just like eating the ice off of it for a while. And you walk past and you see all these little tongue marks all over, and it's just Amaru eating ice off of rocks. They're just goofy. They're goofballs.
Her answer made sense to any of us who own dogs or work with dogs. Sometimes it's the most unexpected things that a dog does that makes you realize just how goofy dogs can be. Like the one she mentioned of a dog licking ice off of a rock.
Dogs can definitely be silly sometimes, but at the end of the day, they make our days better. So now on social media, we see dog buses as fun and exciting places for dogs, which we have heard they are. But we also know that there's a lot of hard work and dedication that goes on behind the scenes. So we asked Morgan, what is something that happens behind the scenes that people don't always see on social media?
A lot of people don't think about you're outside all year round in Alaska. It's not all like today was freezing, you know? A big part of it's like having the right gear, but I'm outside, rain or shine, all day, every day, no matter what these temps are, like unless it's like seriously dangerous, I'm out there. A lot of people don't think about all the poop. Like I'm out there walking, but I'm also carrying 18 dogs like poops with me too. You know, you're like looking at the view and you're like, it smells like turds in my pocket. So you're dealing with a lot of poop. Sometimes dogs like you get bit and they're not like nasty dogs. They're not mean dogs. Like for example, this one dog, she was new. She'd run around having a good time on her long line. She's working on her recall and she got tangled on something and she panicked. And, you know, I have to untangle her and she bit the out of me to like while I was untangling her because she was so scared, you know? And so there's a lot of little things like that. You're passing out treats. I always have cut up cuticles. They're always like nipping a little bit. Um, been walked up and peed on. You know, they've peed on my stroller. They've stolen my lunch. They're dogs, you know. Anything you could imagine. You know, naughty dogs doing naughty dog stuff. Like they do it. I don't post that stuff online, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think there'd be an uproar if they knew they stole your lunch.
Well, I'll tell their mom, but I'm not gonna put that on the internet, and I'm definitely then gonna be like, "Okay, well, now we're gonna train that." That's, like, one of those things too, like, some of the internet likes to highlight naughty dog stuff, and they think it's kinda funny. I'm, like, just so not that. I'm very much like, "I'm gonna tell your mom, we're gonna talk about this." You know, we're gonna train past that 'cause I'm definitely more of a training program, not just a dog walker. I teach a lot of other dog walkers skills. I've teach some classes like loose leash walking, sit, stay, you know, just basic good manners, recall, and like how to temperament test dogs to get them in the right groups because not all dogs get along. That's definitely one of those things the internet's always like. I see this comment that says, why can't everybody get along like dogs? And it's like, have you seen a dog fight? They're not nice. You know, they're very scary. A dog fight's very scary. You know, if the world worked like my bus, where everybody was socially like temperament tested and paired with your best friends and the right energy levels, and you all got to do what you like the most and sit with your bestie, like, yeah, we'd all be having a good time. We were all, you know, socially selected like that. But that's a big misconception is, yeah, people thinking that all these dogs just get along perfectly. And I'm like, I got a route system to pass so and so's house to make sure this dog gets off first before this dog gets on. There's a lot of management behind the scenes for sure.
I appreciate how Morgan was honest and told us the real behind the scenes moments. That not every day is just playing and peaceful walks. but there's a lot of effort and work that goes into this.
Yes, all the props to Morgan for showing up every day for those dogs and putting so much thought and purpose into what she does. And that thoughtfulness and purpose carries over into her dog supplements that are made with clean ingredients. We asked Morgan if she could share a little more about these supplements.
Yeah, so we have traits. We got 4 different kinds. We got the hip and joint, probiotics, a multivitamin, and then a skin and coat. And I would say like hip and joint probiotics are pretty big on the market, like everywhere. And what I know, I've been using dog supplements, trying to find this, trying to find that for years, like testing out these powders, testing out, these ones. And it's just kind of overwhelming sometimes. And you're researching and realizing, like, oh, dog supplements are completely unregulated. Like, you can read that label and there's no guarantee that's in there. You could slap that label on there. And that's happened before where companies say, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus or anything, but this company says, they've got this amount of this supplement in there, like this ingredient has this many milligrams, and you actually test it and it doesn't. That's kind of annoying, where you think you're getting something and you're not. So I'm super, super annoyed with that, just quality. Just finally something like I can trust and know the quality ingredients, where it's from. Ours are actually tested 3 times. They've got what they say in them. And I've actually had pretty good feedback from other people and dogs I've actually seen on the walk. Jake is a pretty good example where he ran out. We're new business, new company. And in the beginning, we had a supply problem, especially with the hip and joint because they were getting really popular. And he ran out for like a month-ish. And I had to leash walk him. Like, he was not allowed to run around. He'd hurt himself for sure. And so I've seen him make a dramatic change, like in the way that he walks, like the stiffness, the way he gets up and whatnot. And that glucosamine main ingredient has definitely been helpful. And the skin and coat, I've seen it help Echo and Slade. Slade was like covered in all these weird little bumps, and the skin and coat cleared it up, never came back. So it's kind of cool seeing like, okay, I've actually seen these products work in my dogs and my clients. And I hear some good feedback, in emails and comments and stuff. So that feels good. Just to know, like, my supplements are helping other dogs and you are getting what you're paying, you're getting what you see on the label. That to me just drives me nuts, when you're trying to like label hunt and read the ingredients and like research for that kind of stuff just is overwhelming to me sometimes, trying to find, what's good for your dog. Like, you're gonna, I don't know. I see dogs as like a family member, like they're not just a pet or a tool to do, to make something happen. Like, I know a lot of times for people, dogs are tools. I understand that and stuff, but my business is all about family pets and, they're family members. I'm going to give my kid vitamins. I take vitamins. I'm going to make sure my dog's got what they need too.
Yeah, we understand that. I don't know how many times that when I'm looking even at dog food that I look at the ingredients and I'm like, "Why is there so many ingredients in this food for my dog?"
Yeah.
Like,
And then you're like, what is that? And then you're like researching, looking that up, and you're like, oh, okay, that's what this is. And you start to like, it's a lot.
exactly. So it's really nice to hear how like you try to make sure your supplements are clean and also how successful they are too. That's awesome.
Yeah, the quality ingredient, I was like devastated when I realized like how bad kibble is, where I'm like, wait, I guess how was it made? And you're thinking about it and you're like, well, I guess, yeah, I guess, kibble's new, and you do some research and you're like, oh, that's kind of wild. And then I fell down like a deep hole, looking at the dog treats, dog supplements, cat
Yeah,
food,
you'll be there all day trying
whatnot.
to figure out everything that's in those
Yeah.
sometimes.
And then I'm like, got a degree in the sciences of psychology. So I'm always like, well, is this a correlation of taking this with that, or did it actually help it? And I'm always just like curious.
Hearing how much care and thought Morgan puts into the supplements is so reassuring and really awesome to hear because it makes you see that she is looking out for the dog's benefit.
Yes, and obviously she's getting awesome feedback from her supplements. And like we discussed a little, the ingredients in the products dogs consume can be exhausting to try and understand. So when we heard she makes clean supplements, we knew we had to talk about them.
It really is, and I'm glad she shared that with us. Now, our next question is for anyone who might be inspired by what Morgan has built. We asked her if someone is listening and wants to start something similar, what piece of advice would she give them?
I kind of got two. One, you could join this group on Facebook that a bunch of us are a part of. It's called Dog Walker to Dog Walker. And it's a bunch of dog walkers sharing their experience. And you can kind of really get the feel of the different kinds of dog walkers that are out there. There's like people like me that do pack walks that are more about obedience. And there's some people that are pack walk, but they don't need as much obedience because they're in a fenced in location. And then there's like the solo walkers, people that specialize in certain things. And so try to find your niche within the whole thing because there's quite the large niche in like pet service stuff. So try to find what kind of niche you want. Talk to some other dog walkers, dog walker to dog walker. If you block a handful of people, it's a great community. Like there's a couple real negative Nancy's in there. It's like clear that, then it's a great group. And then find somebody to mentor under or get some education. I personally teach 4 different classes. So you could email me at momountainmutts@gmail.com and ask for class information or find someone local nearby that does that you could maybe mentor with because you need hands-on experience. If you're having a hard time getting hands-on experience, you could volunteer at a shelter and just start walking dogs. Because the main thing is you need to learn how to walk all different kinds of dogs and master your loose leash skills. I think the most important skill for a dog walker is to be able to walk the dog safely. And I think it's kind of irresponsible to be a dog walker and not know how to walk a dog loose leash. I think that's kind of wild. I think that's the basic skill that a dog walker should have. So learn how to walk loose leash with all different shapes, sizes, and energy levels of dogs.
Her advice was clear and to the point, and very helpful for anyone who is thinking of starting something like she has.
Absolutely. And a huge thank you to Morgan for joining us and sharing the story behind Mo Mountain Mutts. If you want to check out Mo Mountain Mutts, see the dog bus, or follow along with everything she's doing, make sure to check the link in the description. And also, thank you to all of you for listening and spending part of your day with us. We truly appreciate the support and everyone who continues to watch, listen, comment, and share these episodes with others.
It really means a lot to us because every bit of support helps us continue sharing more stories from people who dedicate their lives to animals. But today, we're not asking for any of that. All we ask is if you have a pet in your life, go and take them on an adventure and enjoy quality time with them because we know they deserve it. Until next time, remember, our dogs mean a lot to us, but we are their entire world.